Another day, another interesting guest. Don't ask me how I find them, but I do. Today with me is Kshama Dharwadkar. Kshama is a French professor, an engineer turned a French professor. Kshama, what a waste of an engineering degree. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Don't take me seriously. Don't take me
I
seriously.
know, I know.
I know that engineering degrees teach us logical thinking, teach us different ways of encountering the world. So I have engineer friends who are great journalists, great lawyers, and I'm sure great French teachers. Tell us how the transition happened from being an engineer into being a French professor.
Sure. Yes, good evening, and thank you for having me here before I begin. So, how the transition happened? Actually, I was always good with languages, right from school, right from childhood, and I actually topped the state board in English in my standard 10th, that's SSC exams, and 12th, of course, 11th, 12th, the normal choice when you have in the higher range of the 80s, and it's always science, so that was a logical choice for me at that point of time. I took science, uh, and after science it was always, oh, engineering or medical, and that's what I want to do. But the one person who told me not to do engineering or medical or pharmacy was my mother, and she said, I don't really think you should get into any of the technical branches. You should instead do a BA French. And me being me in my teens, I didn't listen to her. I went ahead, took admission for chemical engineering in Pune. And I did finish my engineering. And after finishing my engineering, I did work for about 4.5 years at Berger Beckers, which is in Pilen, Saligaon. And that's when, after 4.5 years, I realized my interest doesn't lie here. I feel I'm stagnated. There's no growth happening. Of course, there was monetary growth. I'm not saying no. I was getting promoted at work, but that intellectual growth that you want, you wish for, was not happening. And sometimes, as they say, when you wish for something, the universe conspires to make it available, make it happen for you when you align yourself with your wishes. And that's how French came back to me. I started with a small tuition after work hours, and it kind of made me happy, even though work was very hectic. And 4 or 5 months down the line, I decided that's it. I'm going to get back to French. And I left my job, which was paying really well. I left it. I decided to go ahead and enroll myself once again at the Alliance Francaise. I did the level A2 and B1, and after that I enrolled myself for a master's in French. So masters got over in 2015, and that's when the whole teaching started in a more serious and a more rigorous way. And I joined Goa University in 2017. So since then, yes, I am here as a French teacher.
Fantastic, fantastic, and way to go. Live your dreams. I was absolutely joking when I made this
No, no, I
conversation.
absolutely understand.
And I think all of us have a passion in life, and we should chase our passion, and everything else falls
Yes.
in place. Of course, we know each other, we've met each other, but the thing is that I got to know all these insights into your background because of the recent Alia Francaise program at Pune, online program at Pune during the European Languages Day. Tell us what points you were making there, Shama.
Okay. So the European Day of Languages program that was organized by Alliance Francaise de Pune and Goethe Institute, Max Muller Bhavan Pune, was mainly around the topic of language learning in the era of technology. So how technology plays an important part, not just in language learning, but also in translation, because that's what we mainly spoke about. And one of my expertise is also translation, because I've worked as a translator before joining Goa University, and I mainly translate from French to English. Um, so the points that I really wanted to bring out that day is why technology is important in translation. It's not like the olden times where we could manually translate, like, keep the source document open on one side, keep the target document open, and then manually translate. But why technology, or rather, why we need to use CAT tools to begin with? CAT is computer aided translation tools, and why do we need them? The main reason we need them is to maintain consistency, accuracy and speed. Say we have a 500 word document, it's fine, it's okay. But say you have a 50,000 word document and word repeats, we cannot be using multiple, I mean, because we might have different synonyms in English for the French word. We cannot be using them like page one, we may say something, page two, we may say something else. That cannot work. So obviously, why that is important. And now another trend that we see in the industry, the translation industry, is also known as MTPE. In other words, machine translation post editing. So the translator per se has become more of an editor, more of a corrector. So a lot of CAT tools come integrated with machine translators. For example, Frederick, if you don't mind, can I share my screen for two
Please,
minutes?
please, please, please.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here, if we can see right now, I this is a CAT tool which is called Rian, and it has been developed by a company in India itself. And the best part about this CAT tool is it's a web-based CAT tool. So all we need to do is we need to buy credits. If you can see the number of credits that I have, and it has top-up credits. So we need to buy credits as we go along. So we need not buy a package that will burn a huge hole in our pockets. So if we see here, I have multiple projects here. It shows me the languages that I've done them in. Now, if I open a project, for example, just give me a moment. If I
Take your
open the
time. No
project,
hurry. Take your time. Slowly, slowly. You don't even have to race through this
yes,
because time is on our side. You don't worry. I have the
thank
time.
you. So if I see here, I see the machine translator. So the thing that happens with these CAT tools is in today's world is that they come integrated with machine translators. For example, this particular CAT tools comes integrated with 4 different machine translators, and you can choose which one you want to use. If you want to use all 4, it will show you suggestions from all 4. In this case, in this particular project, I've chosen one, so it's giving me a hit from that one CAT tool. Sorry, the one machine translator. So what I can do is I can translate the entire file using a machine translator, but again, we cannot rely on the accuracy of the machine translator. Hence, as a translator, if I am translating the file, I need to go back to what the machine has done and edit it accordingly. And now, a CAT tool like Rian, for example, is
How you
so
spell it? How
advanced.
you spell it, Shema, and how costly is it? Sorry for interrupting.
It's not really costly actually. Like I said, I'll just go back to the previous screen. Just hold on. And if you see, as I said, you top up your characters. Okay, one character. So if I go to top up my credit, I'll click on that. You'll see the screen now. Okay. So for 300 rupees, you get about 5,000 characters or words. So per word is about 0.06 rupees.
Yeah.
So
So
as
if
a
you're
whole,
doing some productive work, you can very well recover and
definitely, and it's not expensive at all, because if you go to buy certain cat tools, first of all, like I said, I use a Mac, so most of them do not work on a Mac. The pricing is also not very reasonable. But this particular one that we use is, I mean, I use personally, is very affordable, very pocket friendly. Also, I have integrated it in the past in my classroom. So I've done trainings for them, for my students, and when they sign up for the first time, they get a certain number of credits free. So they can use them for doing assignments. So it comes in quite handy actually. So this is where our technology part comes into picture. And I believe I'm going to stop sharing the screen.
yeah, yeah.
And I believe that it's required today, because if you ever go for an interview as a translator, you are definitely asked, do you know how to use a CAT tool? What's your typing speed? Can you touch type? There are certain things I mean, personally speaking, I learned while working on the job. I mean, I was not aware of them. Why formatting is important. Now, formatting is something that is very basic. We do using Microsoft Word, but there are certain things that we never learn. All we do is type. We add bullets, we add numbers, we may add a table, or max when we have to shift something, we just do tab 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 or enter 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 and we shift. But it's done very different professionally. And it's very important that you know how it is done, because there are certain documents that cannot be passed through a cat tool, and that's when you need the formatting skills. So as a teacher, after I joined Goa University, after I left my translation job, I tried to integrate these things in my translation courses from an industry perspective. That is how to do formatting, what is machine translation, post editing, at least give them an idea of what a cat tool is, use a cat tool, or while using a cat tool, why is glossary important, why is project memory important, all these things. Definitely, definitely.
So the other day when you were presenting there,
Mm-hmm.
the chair of the meeting put it very well when he said your presence is important because you're probably the one of the only, if not the only, French teacher in India at least who comes from an engineering background, not from a languages background.
Yes.
So to take that further, Shama, when you're teaching students,
Mm-hmm.
they are getting at the university today, are they getting a very hands-on kind of practice in the possibilities of translation?
Yes, they do. Because, like I said, I teach papers on translation. So, primarily, I teach two papers at the master's level. One is general translation. So, we take basically text from different domains, maybe newspapers or small articles or some publicity material here and there. And it's also includes a lot of theory. So, that's the core paper that I teach. The other paper is exclusively focused on scientific and technical translation. So, as a part of these two papers, I do one session of training on the CAT tool, one session on formatting. So, they are given assignments on formatting. They are given assignments on doing translation using the CAT tool. And recently, in fact, 2 weeks back, we even started a session on subtitling, because again, that's an important growing domain, and they need to be aware of what the market requires and what makes them employable, because at the end of the day, that's what is important. They need to find a job.
I'm sure because
Yeah.
even that well-produced Konkani film Nachoya Kumpasar, I think it was subtitled into French also in that sense, and there
Okay.
is a potential for a lot more, for a lot
Definitely,
more.
definitely,
And
definitely.
this small place called Goa, which has
Right.
always been at the
Yeah,
crossing point, clashing point of cultures, could actually be at the translating point also. But
definitely.
having said that, do you feel that translation offers Goa a lot of potential in that sense?
um
If it
I
is built up
mean,
properly, if it's built up properly.
if it is built up properly, yes, definitely. There's a lot of work available in the market. I'm not saying no. Again, why I'm saying this is also based on my experience as a translator, where I used to work. Because I have seen what happens is that they have work, but they don't get people. And first of all, again, having said that, our Goans also need to move out of Goa. uh, Not everything can be done from Goa, or maybe if there could be a translation agency that comes up to Goa, sets up base, and work things around. But yes, there's a lot of work available outside. Definitely, a lot of work. I mean, not just for French, but I've seen for French, German, Spanish, Portuguese as well.
Shama, as far as the wider issue of teaching of French in Goa today goes,
Mm-hmm.
how do you see it? What are its strengths? What are its weaknesses?
What are its strengths or weaknesses? Strengths, we do have some really qualified people. I must say that. I mean, I can see that around with my colleagues and all, and really passionate about teaching French. So that's that's a great thing. It's just that I feel that students who learn French need to explore more avenues. That's what I feel is somewhere lacking. But I feel in the last 3, 4 years, what I am seeing the trend is that people are exploring their options. Also, we do get a lot of students who are non Goans. So they are already aware of what are the opportunities available outside, whether it's translation, whether it's teaching. I can see that they are aware, and all we need to do is just open up our horizons a little bit, and I'm sure we can do really well for ourselves here in
To
terms of
to get
French
to get
translation.
to get an idea of some numbers, Shama,
Yeah.
can you give us some numbers of students at the master's level at the university, bachelor's level? Just some general.
Yes. So the last 2 years we've seen a really good number of students come in. Because last year we had about 13 come in for masters. This year we have about 15, and bachelors
Plus,
again.
plus these are plus there are students from other streams who would take particular classes because of
Yes,
your
yes, 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 because of the optional
stream of
courses.
optional
Yes,
courses.
yes, yes, yes. So they are around 20, 25 normally that we get in that particular class, because beyond that we cannot accommodate.
I see.
And also, we have good number for bachelors as well. Last year I think we had about 12 enrollments. This year we also had about, yes, 10, I guess. So we can see the increasing interest in the languages.
So you have a bachelor's course at the university as well, apart
Yes.
from the bachelor's being run at the undergraduate colleges outside the university.
No, not really, because we are the only people running a bachelor's at Goa
Okay.
University. Yes, in
All
French.
papers, all papers. But is there no possibility of taking, say, few papers at the BA level in some outside college, outside the university? In
I mean, as far as I know, Chogle's offers
okay,
it, but they are autonomous. So,
yeah.
yes, they do that.
And at the school level, it was and is quite popular. No, French used to be.
Yes, 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 it is. It is. It is quite popular. Till the 12th standard, it is quite popular.
So, Shama, what are the challenges of teaching a language like French in Goa today? Is it easy? Is it tough? Because of this long colonial European connect, does it become easier or does it become more complicated?
Um, at the school level, I don't really think so. It's that complicated because I guess like when I was studying French, for example, in school, we didn't really have internet, or we didn't really have so much of to go and check what the teacher said. But yeah, the teachers, like you said, because of the colonial connect. I remember my school teachers. We had about two teachers who taught me from 8th to 10th, and they taught French by the virtue that they spoke Portuguese. And I think that was quite common in a lot of convent schools, if I'm not wrong, because that was the same
Yeah.
case with another convent school in Mapsa as well. And, they were quite well versed with what they taught. They knew what they were teaching. And I don't think we really ever felt the need to even go back and check with an encyclopedia. Of course, Google was not there back then. Now, I think, because when I started teaching French, with a CBSE school in Old Goa. The kids in my class, sixth graders or seventh graders, had already visited France, and one of them actually came up one day and did a presentation on Cannes and Nice. And he's like, "Ma'am, these are photos I've clicked." So there is this whole awareness that they do want to learn French. So yes, I can see that they are quite excited about learning it, and you do see an increasing number of students opting for French.
What are the shortcomings in the classroom today? If you had a chance to change the way it was taught, or you had the freedom to maybe, teach in a different way, what would that be?
What would that be? Now, I can't speak for the school level because,
Yeah.
again, I don't really teach at a school level. So I wouldn't really know the actual problems because, like I said, I just taught for 1 year and that was it. Pretty much that's it. But yeah, I mean, if we see at a higher level, yes, it would be great if we could introduce more courses that are, you know,
Like what? Like what?
like a few more courses maybe on translation, uh, because or subtitling or interpretation, because these are fields that are really coming up, especially like I said. I mean, the thing what I do is also I keep in contact with my industry friends, the people I worked with. Another field that's really coming up nowadays, thanks also to the pandemic and to the advent of OTT platforms, especially Netflix, Hotstar, Woot, and all these, is localization. It's something that we are not really aware of so much. Of course, there's a lot of publicity being done about it, and a lot of light is being thrown on it. But yes, localization is something that's greatly coming up. Absolutely.
You've translated 7 lakh words. Tell us something about that.
So yeah, so that 7 lakh mainly comes from the time when I was working in Pune. And again, like I said, I translate French to English, and I'm mainly a scientific and a technical translator. I'm not a literary translator. But someday I would like to give a shot at it. But mainly, I am one of those scientific, technical, the very dry field kind of a thing, where there's no other way of saying it. And also, I've done some administrative documents in the past, like a birth certificate and degree certificates, mark sheets, and things like that.
Kshama,
So,
Goa has these strange but unnoticed connects with the French speaking world, correct?
yes.
In fact, when I was a young student in the
Mm-hmm.
80s, I had the pleasure and honor of meeting Professor Manohar Rai Sardesai,
Mm-hmm.
who was, of course, multilingual, Konkani, English, Marathi, Portuguese, and French. And he was a
Mm-hmm.
professor of French.
Yes.
Then you have Abe Faria writing in French.
Yes.
And our friend in Margao, Dr. Sorry, I forget his name, who Dr. Hide, I think, who
Mm-hmm.
has translated, gone and found the original and tried to translate it and work to translate it into English and all.
Mm-hmm.
Then just before we started, we were talking about how all most of the medical college books in Escola Medica were in French
Yes.
in the colonial days before 61.
Yes.
And I saw them there in the 80s. They must be still somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, can you tell us a little bit more apart from what I know already about this Goa French connection?
Yes, that's also an interesting topic, and it does interest me as well. I'll tell you why. Because Shenai Goibab, then there is Ramakrishna Zwarkar, who have translated. Then we had, of course, Madhvi Sardesai doing Le Petit Prince. Have translated. Rather, I would not say use the word translated, but I would use the word transcreated. Some plays of Moliere into Konkani. So these plays have been brought with a very Goan essence to the Goan audience. So this connection between Goa and France is not unknown, or rather, the French language is not unknown. And of course, it offers if you read the two, it offers you a good perspective into why it was transcreated, why these changes were brought about, and what's the reason for it, because obviously the Goan audience was very different from the French audience, and there are certain things that the Goan audience might not have digested also.
So the Little
So
Prince, this much translated novel, was also translated into Konkani, right?
yes, 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 by Madhvi
Okay.
Sardesai.
By
Yes,
Madhuri
yes,
Sajja. People were searching about it, and that was the first time. And of course, the latest connect is our Goan community settled in France, and I think we are getting
yes,
some wishes there. So a
yes,
lot of people from the coastal belt, particularly in Tiswadi and Salsette,
yes,
maybe have
yes,
are actually settled in France.
yes,
So that's interesting.
yes.
Is there any possibility of short term courses or online courses that are being offered for the study of French?
At the moment, we do not offer anything. We did offer one course in 2017, end of 2017, early 2018. We did offer a certificate diploma. But after that, our hands have been quite tied up with our work as well. So we did not, but we would love to start something. I mean, it's in the pipeline. That's something we really want to do.
How does Goa rate on the overall map of India in terms of French studies, for instance?
Initially, I don't think we were so popular, but I guess now, yes, we are. Because, like I mentioned some minutes back, who is that we are getting a lot of students from outside, like places like even Delhi, which has some, really famous universities for French studies, but yet they choose to come to Goa, or even as far as we get students from even Assam, and we have students even from Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, West Bengal, Kerala. So we are getting students from all over India actually, which is good, which shows that we are there on the map.
So tell us something about the department as such in the university.
So we're quite an old department on campus. Again, like you said, we had a luminary like Professor Sardasai. And we are doing quite well right now with the BA and the MA French program. Also, like I mentioned, we are seeing an increase in the number of students with all the innovative courses, especially at the BA level that we offer. So we can see that the interest is on the rise, especially the Goan students, because we see quite a few of them enrolling for bachelor's and then continuing towards masters. So that's really great.
And number of professors?
We are five at the moment.
Five.
Yes.
Some also young enough and doing their I mean their
Yes.
doctorate,
Yes.
including
Yes.
you,
Yes. Yes.
including you.
Including me. Including me.
And
Yes.
your topic is?
I am working on Karna from Mahabharata, so it's related to mythology
in French?
in French.
Oh
Yes,
wow, wow.
yes, yes, yes.
And Natasha Gomes is doing it on,
She's working on the methods of teaching French.
and the others who have done or are doing are.
Um, Dr. Irene, she's worked about, like you just mentioned, on the diaspora studies, the Goans immigrating to France, and one of them she's working on francophone literature. Yes, so
Very
that's
interesting.
yes, yes, yes. So we have a wide variety of topics that we are
And
working
and the ma'am, a former HOD, also is has also done, I think,
on translation. Yes,
on
she's a
translation.
translation expert as well. Yes, Ma'am Wagle. Yes.
And Dr. Sadesai,
Oh, I don't have an idea about
that's
his
ages
PhD
back.
topic. Yeah, that's like ages ago,
and
months
and and
ago.
and
My
he was so much of a renaissance man that he was into everything, right from
yes,
concrete to
yes,
poetry, and keeping
yes.
track of his many activities.
Actually,
Of course, Professor Edith has come out with a book of his work,
yes, yes,
multilingual work, no,
yes, yes.
multilingual
I've read it. Yes, yes, yes.
Edith. Yeah, so
Yeah,
so
she
there's
did
so
come
much
up with a
happening.
yes,
Yeah.
there's so much happening. And also, I would like to emphasize on a point here. I mean, I think that's something Mr. Nulkar also said the other day during the roundtable discussion was as teachers of foreign language, we must also emphasize on a point that our students must also be aware of the Indian languages. I cannot say that as a teacher of French, I cannot read Marathi, Konkani, or Hindi because these are languages I've spoken growing up. I may not be able to write in them, but at least I should be able to understand them, read them, speak. If I can type, nothing like it. Because, like I mentioned, also is that, for example, let's take the case of Shenai Goibab. He's got French literature into Konkani, or there are even Marathi writers who have gotten French literature into Konkani. And just because I could read it, I could present two papers, in fact, on that. So I think it's extremely important in today's world where we are also diversifying. The internet is reaching the hinterlands of India. It's important that our students are also aware, are also able to read and write, even in the Indian languages.
No, I agree with you fully, because in this multilingual world, every
Yes,
language we know is an asset, and we
definitely.
cannot we cannot have a hierarchy or a division in our mind. East west is just a notional concept. So the
Yes,
more we know, the better.
yeah.
But what about the future in that sense, Shama? What are you looking forward to? What would be your dreams for the future in terms of work, in terms of focus?
Yeah,
Of
so in
course, your
terms of
first dream would be to complete your doctorate, which I'm
definitely.
sure would get done in time, and that's like a big sword hanging on the head in that sense.
Yes,
But
yes, yes, yes. That's like the sword of Damocles.
but 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 there's a, yeah. Once you do it, it's done with, and then
Yeah,
you're.
yes. So, yeah, once I'm done with the PhD, I definitely have two things in mind. One is it that I would really like to go ahead and do something in linguistics, if possible, get a degree or get a diploma in linguistics. That's what I'm looking ahead. And maybe look at some courses in translation also in France, because there are some institutes that are quite specialized in that. And yes, definitely something like that.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
your time,
thank
Shama,
you.
and it's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
We
you.
need to remind you and everyone else that your role is important with your engineering background in particular. Looking forward to seeing you taking it far ahead, and hopefully one day we have a multilingual translation center working out of Goa on different
Definitely,
languages.
definitely. I mean, that is something I would really like to do, because if we can, because last year we did a course, and that's where they said that the world ahead, the path ahead is working with different departments hand in hand. It's a world for multidisciplinary work and
And
taking
Goa
up
is so multilingual, it has been and it will
exactly,
continue to be.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So the path ahead is that we work together, we come up with something, or like how you said, like a translation center or something like that. That would be really great.
Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
ton.
you.
Thank you so much for your time. Real pleasure encountering all your ideas and knowledge.